Back to more Samurai Bebop, Space Resonance, and Tuesday. Hey everyone, welcome to Prince of the Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episode 2 of Lazarus. And yeah, that was a really good first episode we got. It just really set the bar strong and definitely carried over vibes from Shinichiro Watanabe's previous works, most notably Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, and even Carol and Tuesday. Not as many Space Dandy vibes, and there's some other works that I kind of forgot about as well, including Terror and Resonance, which is also Shinichiro Watanabe, and a very underrated series in my opinion. That definitely tackles a lot of the social issues that Shinichiro Watanabe tends to go into. Um, but there's also that one music series that we did the first impression episode for. Um, I can't think of what it's called right now. Um, it's the one with the drummer and everything. That's gonna bother me if I don't figure it out here. Shinichiro Watanabe. I'll just look him up. That'll allow me to find it. I say the one music series, and I'm not talking about Carol and Tuesday, which is weird to think about, but da, 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 da. Where is it? Oh, I'm not seeing it here. Was I wrong? No, I was right. Kids on the Slope. I somehow missed it for a second there. Yeah, Kids on the Slope. We reacted to the first episode for, and I definitely want to see more because I really liked it. We will get back to that at some point. But yeah, he directed a little bit more than I realized because he also directed Macross Plus in 1994, um, which was a 4 episode OVA, but that was still like pre Cowboy Bebop for him. So Cowboy Bebop wasn't even his first directorial work. Um, but all the others, yeah, I mentioned like Terror and Resonance, I forgot, but that one, I still really liked. Yeah, now we have this, and again, the vibes are immaculate so far. They're really good, and I'm definitely getting interested in the characters. We haven't really delved too much into them yet, but Axel seems like he very much has Spike Spiegel vibes to his character. Um, with a little bit of the chaotic fluidity of Mugen from Samurai Champloo. You see Chris definitely feeling like a mix between like a Carol and Tuesday character and Faye Valentine. She kind of has vibes of both of those. The other kid, I can't remember his name right now, but the drone kid, he definitely has Carol and Tuesday vibes above everything else. Then you have the one guy. It was like such a simple name. It wasn't like Ed or something like that, but it was like a really simplistic name. Was it Robert? Maybe, but he very much more than anything feels very Carol and Tuesday. The director feels very Carol and Tuesday. And by the way, we were talking about like the voice cast and everything last time, and I was like, oh, Akio Otsuka is in this, and he's the bald guy. It's like, I think he was in the first episode very briefly. He was. I had since rewatched the episode, and he was in it like for a short scene with the director. He's like her boss. And so, yeah, he was in there very briefly. I just didn't even for a second realize that was him. Very different voice performance than a lot of the other roles I'm used to with him, I guess. But yeah, it's just it's really interesting so far, and I'm just really getting into it. Now, we had issues last week finding a copy of this. You may remember I had to end up torrenting it because it's like I the first file I found I couldn't find properly because we're doing the sub rather than the dub on Adult Swim. The first file I found didn't end up working properly. The subtitles I got for it, and this was, I had to do a lot of searching just to find this. The subtitles stopped after a certain point, and so I ended up finding the torrent one, but that one had like some weird lag issues. Luckily, the series has since started finally going up in sub on Anime Pahe, which is one of the main sites I use for anime. Um, and so episode 2 went up right away once that came out. And it's just like, okay, I think we're going to be good. I have the alternative options if absolutely needed, but hopefully they won't be needed anymore. Hopefully we're good from this point on. So, yeah, I'm excited to see more of this. I really love Shinichiro Watanabe's works. And even though I may love some more than others, this one's looking to be another really good one. So let's get into it and see what this episode has in store for us. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, 1, now. I don't know, I messed up my countdown with the fingers. Anyway, so it seems like this is surprisingly more of like a Suicide Squad situation than I thought. Apparently, all the members of Lazarus outside the director and all are former criminals. Of varying degrees, of course. And not usually people who are that bad, but still. It seems like the worst one is the hacker girl. She's apparently done a lot of like really big hacking incidents and stuff. But at the same time, that doesn't mean she's bad. It depends on like what her goals and reasons and all were, what she was doing it for, all of that jazz. And we find out that Axel was only originally in prison for 3 years, and that his sentence just kept getting doubled because he kept breaking out. He just kind of made like a fun little game of it, just because he could. So his 888-year sentence was for just dumb shit like that. That's kind of hilarious, though. And we see, like, the others have done, like, these just small offenses and whatnot. But this episode is really about, like, them getting to start working together and just kind of, like, really getting the ball rolling. We get to learn a little bit more about Dr. Skinner and his life, his accomplishments. And we get to have our first lead, which ends up being a dud. But we do get a very interesting twist at the end. The facial recognition software finds a shit ton of people who are all matching him completely. Which, of course, has to be part of his plan. Because, I mean, the only goal is to find him, right? So, yeah. He's gonna, like, have a bunch of people looking like him, and it's gonna make finding him even harder. So that's crazy. I also found out through, like, we found out when this takes place. It takes place in 2056. And that's about approximately just under 20 years prior to the events of Cowboy Bebop and Carol and Tuesday. Both of those seem to take place right around the same time. So that's really interesting in and of itself. Um, I think it's really cool that all of Shinichiro Watanabe's series are connected and just take place in different time periods. It kind of makes me wonder if that's just going to always be a thing. And I just love that. I just love that it's this whole connected universe. But that none of the stories will ever like cross over because they take place at different times, except I guess again Carol and Tuesday and Cowboy Bebop. But I think the only thing that really connected those two series were just the money used was the same. Um, so I'm very curious to see where this continues to go. There's a lot of setup with this episode, and there's even the kind of implication brought in that the hacker girl could end up being a problem. She's kind of the biggest wild card. I'm very, very interested to see where this continues to reach in terms of the mystery aspect of it as well. Because so far it seems to be combining some fun action sequences, the mystery of finding him, finding Dr. Skinner and figuring out his motivations, as well as this sort of Suicide Squad like situation. Like their wristbands, they even have like these shock devices in it. It's kind of similar to the chips implanted in the back of the neck for the Suicide Squad, except instead of blowing up your head, it just gives you a little shock. But eventually, if you continue to try, the shocks will get worse, and eventually will just, as put, melt your hand off, which is unsettling. Honestly, it is very unsettling. Um, I like the little references to like real life things in here, like the Avengers. That's just really funny to me. Um, but I love it generally when any show or movie does that. Like Jujutsu Kaisen did stuff like that too, with like mentioning Jennifer Lawrence and all. Um, I just think that's a cute little idea to throw that kind of stuff in there. So far out of the main gang, I don't have a huge amount of thoughts on most of them. I think the only ones I have like any real thoughts on are Chris and Axel. They almost seem like they just have more to them right now. I'm sure we're gonna get to know Doug a lot more, and Leland, and the hacker girl whose name I can't remember, and of course the director and her boss. But right now it seems like Axel and Chris are almost like the main members of the group. Axel obviously being our main character, our Spike Spiegel of sorts. He has a lot of personality. He's very, very much willing to like just fuck with people, and he seems to like having fun. And he seems to kind of value like the freedom to be able to do whatever he wants. Chris, meanwhile, is a little more serious, a little, and I wouldn't say no nonsense. Doug is more no nonsense. She's definitely more of the kind of character who's like all about the mission. It's like let's focus on the job, have a little fun doing it, sure, but she has her limits. Like when she stopped the car and tried to kick Axel out because of his 888-year sentence. Calling him Leatherface was fantastic. That was just fun. Um, but yeah, we see like in the first episode, she's willing to have some fun with it as well, with like her leading Axel into the next stage of the trap and everything by shooting at him. She's she's not like super goofy or anything. She's more kind of normal. She's like a normal person who just kind of wants to do the job and focus on the mission. Um And I think she's gonna warm up a little more, and we'll start to see a little bit more of her personality as we go along. Start to like breathe in a little bit. But yeah, I'm definitely I'm definitely feeling like she's a bigger character right now than a lot of the others. But they all seem to be sharing screen time pretty well. Like even during the raid on the oh my god, what is it called? The shelter. Even during the raid on the shelter, we saw the B plot as well, focusing on Doug and Leland and all. We got to see everybody doing something, even if Doug and Leland's wasn't as exciting. But yeah, there's definitely a lot to love about this. The opening is very jazzy, very much. It's very clearly supposed to be a lot like Cowboy Bebop's opening. It definitely has the vibes of a standard Shinichiro Watanabe show. And I think that's good. I think that it's great that his works have this sort of identity to them. It allows them to stand out and feel like, oh yeah, you're watching a Shinichiro Watanabe show. And you can tell. And I love that. I think that's great. I really love it when a director has that identity. It's just the same thing as if like you're watching a Mamoru Hosoda movie. You can tell by the art style. You can tell when it's Mamoru Hosoda's art style. You can just see it visually. And you see this with other directors and whatnot as well. And that's great. So, excuse me. I hope we get more of that in the future. Like more unique and like distinctive styles to shows, whether it be with the music, the animation, the art style, etc., etc., rather than just trying to kind of fit this mold that like a lot of anime try to do. There's so many anime that just try to fit into a certain mold and feel like simple anime, like general anime. And there's a lot of openings, especially for more slice of lifey shows and whatnot, that I feel just are way too generic because of this. They don't take any risks, they don't do anything unique or different with either the musical choices or the visuals. And that's not to say they're necessarily bad, they're just bland. They can still be good, the music and the artists can still be good, but it's just a case of I want to see just more creativity. I love it when an anime opening gets really fresh, gets really interesting and unique, and does stuff that I would not expect. And it can have different tones to it. Like the tone for this opening is very serious, but it's also very creative and, very well animated and styled. It's stylistic as fuck. But then you have like the opening for Keep Your Hands Off Isaacin, which is goofy and silly and just happy and fun. It has an extremely different tone. It's like warping around all like ridiculously, but it's just as creative in its visual styling. And that's what's important. They're two different sides of visual creativity with music that matches the visuals being shown. And then you have like Chainsaw Man's opening, which like has a bunch of homages to like classic films and whatnot. And it's just like, that's the kind of shit I love. And obviously, it's all subjective as to what you think is like really good music or visuals, what you think is super creative, etc., etc. It's all very subjective based on your personal tastes and interests and what you find to be more creative than other stuff, etc., etc. And so I definitely want to hear your thoughts on the opening. I could see some people finding this opening a little more bland and boring, especially because there's not any lyrics to the music. It's just jazz. But I like jazz, personally. And honestly, I feel like if you like Cowboy Bebop's opening, you should probably like this, at least to a degree. Because they're very, very similar. The only difference is Cowboy Bebop's is more dramatic with its jazz, while this is more smooth and like slick in comparison. They're definitely two different vibes in that regard, but they're still both, jazz music, colorful, creative visuals. It's like, yeah, they very much feel like this is from the same person, the same creator. And so it's like, I feel like they very much vibe with each other, just in a slightly different way. But I definitely love to hear your thoughts on that. I definitely want to hear your thoughts on like characters in terms of just their general designs, their personalities so far. Who do you think is your favorite, just based on the little bit of information we have right now? Um, it, if we're gonna like, if we're counting Axel, I think he's probably my current favorite, just because we do have the most information and personality with him. But outside of him, like just counting the rest of Lazarus, I mean, again, I still just have to go for Chris because she's the second most focused on so far. And I definitely, I like her chemistry so far with Axel too. Like, I feel like that's going to evolve as the series progresses. So yeah, I really enjoy Chris as well so far. I guess if I had to say a least favorite member of Lazarus, it would just be the director, just because we don't have enough of her yet. But if you're only counting the Suicide Squad themselves, I don't know, like maybe the kid. I said his name before, and now I can't remember it again. Drone Kid. He's just there. Like he really doesn't stand out to me at the moment. I'm sure that's gonna change, but for the moment, he's just kind of there for me. Um, I definitely see a lot of potential in Doug. They've definitely set up the other girl, the hacker girl, quite a bit here. Yeah, it's just. I mean, I'm sure I'm gonna like them all by the end, but that's probably where I'd put it right now. But yeah, like, tell me your thoughts down below. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.